Hey, welcome to 49cc Scoot. My name's Brent. I've had the Malossi RC1 94cc two-stroke engine in my scooter for roughly a year, and I've never really bothered with CVT tuning. That's gonna change right now. When I assembled the RC1 and set up the CVT for the first time, I used 4 gram 19x15 Dr. Pulley sliding roller weights, more commonly called sliders. The overrange kit came with 3.8 and 4.3 gram roller weights, but I used sliders instead because rollers can very quickly get flat spots in some applications, and sliders generally last a long time in my experience. It ran very well with the 4 gram sliders installed, and I never changed those until about 4 months later when I was about to head to a bike show. The RPM seemed a little bit on the high side to me, not too bad, so I made up some Delrin inserts that I installed in 3.5 gram sliders to make them 4.1 grams each, and those have been in there ever since. From what I've seen, the RC1 is such a strong engine that it'll run well without really fussing over the tune and trying to get it dialed in perfectly. So far, as long as I've been in the ballpark with a carb and the CVT tune, it's gonna do power wheelies, and it's gonna go way faster than you really need to go on a small scooter. I can't even launch this thing anywhere near full throttle because it seems like it would flip itself over or at very least throw me off. So I've kind of figured that if I wanted to go any quicker, my next step would probably be to improve rider skill or maybe to change the scoot setup. Well, after all this time, I don't know that the rider is any better, and I have definitely not changed the scoot setup because I really enjoy riding it the way it is. So I'm finally resorting to swapping some weights around to see if I can improve acceleration. I started out by installing a brand new Malossi 6115668 drive belt because my old one had 775 miles on it, and I prefer tuning with fresh belts after they've had brief low throttle break-in rides to let them wear in a little bit and conform to the pulley drive faces. I did a group of test runs to get baseline numbers. I always test in a flat area and go back and forth in the same spot. I found that a set of 4 runs, alternating direction each time, gives me reliable acceleration data for tuning. More than 4 runs is absolutely fine, but I don't like to do less than that. And I always try to keep the runs in even numbers. That way you have pairs going in opposite directions to even everything out. Minimizing wind is also important for accuracy because any significant wind will influence results to some degree. Obviously we can't change the weather, but we can wait for a calm day or maybe even find a tuning spot surrounded by trees or some sort of barrier. Putting a little bit of effort into improving the accuracy of the testing process can make a big difference in data quality, and good data helps you to change the right things to get quicker and faster. I've also recently changed from putting my Draggy performance meter in my pocket to mounting it on the front of the scooter. I use GoPro mounts to make it quick to install and remove, and this way the Draggy is directly mounted to the scooter, and also it's out in the open for better satellite communication. I started doing it this way while I was testing on my T-Max some time ago, and I found that it provided more consistent results. After 4 test runs with 4.1 gram weights, I swapped in a set of 4.5 gram sliders. A quick look at the Draggy data is about all I do during the testing process because I prefer to keep test runs within a short time span so conditions stay as similar as possible. I use video from my helmet cam that can see the gauges later to gather up the details like RPM and EGT, and then I enter them into a spreadsheet. I also like to write notes along the way of my general impressions while riding. How does it feel? Is there anything I like or anything I dislike about it? And so on. Based on Draggy data and feel, lowering RPM with the 4.5 gram weights made a good improvement in most areas. RPM was a little lower than I liked when going to full throttle from a roll, so I wanted to try lighter weights instead of going any heavier. I mixed 4 and 4.5 gram weights to average 4.25 grams and did another set of tests. I liked the snappy feel of the lighter weights better, but I suspected that I was revving it just a little bit too high, so I used aluminum foil to turn 3.5 gram sliders into 4.25 gram weights, and then I mixed those with the 4.5 gram weights to average 4.375 grams. After that, I put all of the data together and went over it. The 4.5 gram weights gave me the best acceleration all around and kept RPM right in the 13,500 to 13,800 RPM range between Malosi's stated torque and horsepower peaks. I was really surprised that 0 to 60 averages dropped just shy of a full second, going from the lightest 4.1 gram weights to the 4.5s. 8th mile results showed more modest improvement, with my best runs of 992 and 999 at over 65 miles per hour being the very first sub 10-second passes I've ever made with this scooter. I think top speed may also improve with the 4.5 gram sliders because it stays closer to the power band up there, but I didn't really test that. I ran it up over 70 miles per hour a couple of times that day, but I saw deer crossing the road on 2 different occasions, and I don't really care much about the top speed because, well, I just don't use it. And also, I've hit a deer before and it really wasn't a whole lot of fun, so I never bothered doing any more speed tests. I could have tried going up in slider weight to see if it improved any more, and/or done finer than 8th gram increments, but I intended to do other CVT mods right away, and I don't think there was enough to be gained from the time that it would take me to do all this to be worth the effort. Overall, I was pretty pleased with the results. As quick as the RC1 has been, it got even quicker by just lowering the RPM a little bit, and it feels stronger when it pulls. Add in lower rev cruising and potentially better speed, and I think it pays off to spend a little bit of time doing some basic CVT tuning. I think my clutch could probably use some work to help me launch the scoot better as well. Maybe if it slipped more, I could get into the throttle sooner and maybe see some better times. It usually takes me a while to open the throttle all the way because it will still pick the wheel up even once it's moving for a bit. I haven't really tried to dial in the clutch because overall I like the way it works, and I think that this thing has enough power that it's gonna always be a handful, especially in a scooter like this that is far from a drag setup. I guess that's about it for my roller tuning, so please give the video a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up. I'll be doing more stuff with a CVT to see if I can improve acceleration times even more, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.